Hey, I don't know if I'm running this or if Ted's running this, or let's just let Mark run this. Mark's now running this panel. Okay, go ahead, Mark. What is this?
What are we here for? What are we doing?
This is a comic book or something, right, Ted? If
So
if you
I'm
don't
wearing
know
the
who we
t-shirt.
are,
I'm wearing the t-shirt.
if you don't
Just
know who
live
we are yes, we are the
on.
Watchtower Database YouTube channel. And we run a webcomic called Legacies of the DC Animated Universe. We have been running that since 2015, and don't pay attention to how many issues per year that is and the 11 issues that have come out since then. But
It's at least high
It's
enough
only
that I can
10.
count
I
there
think it's
without
only
getting
10, James.
lost.
it's no counting
Oh,
number
11, you
zero.
count number
Yes,
zero.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I made sure to double check this. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, Ted and I, Ted Kendrick here, he's the writer. We started the
That's me.
comic back then. We've also got Maddie Washburn, who is listed on the
Yes.
website as our
Hello.
timeline consultant.
But lately, I'd say that you, me,
yes.
and Maddie all jump in on the scripts and give it like I usually do the first draft or so that we come in and we're like, well, this is wrong. This
Right,
this
yeah, yeah.
contradicts this thing. And then lately, I've started working with some guest writers, and so I kind of serve as an editor for those issues. They're not out yet. I'll show some art for it in a few, but. I edit those scripts and then we all jump in later and then we give it a read and tweak the dialogue a little bit. So we're kind of like a trio of editors.
And today, what the topic of this is we're going to be going over like a pseudo how to start a webcomic kind of thing. We are by no means like experts on this topic, but it comes up a lot. We get a lot of emails, a lot of DMs about like, oh my gosh, I want to start my own webcomic. How did you guys start yours? And it really is just like we just figured it out as we went, and so we're kind of going to just share some insight on that. But we have also with us two of our, I guess you could call them guest artists, but I think Marcelo has drawn almost as many issues of this as I have at this point, and Mark has drawn a couple as well. Marcelo Milikai, he's in Argentina, is that right? Did I get that right?
Hi, hello.
Yes, okay.
Yes, I'm Argentina.
And Mark Martinez, who has drawn 2 issues now, and I think working on a 3rd at the moment.
A whole two.
And
Yes.
he's in North Carolina with me. Mark and
That's
I are
right, yes.
over there.
Yes, he's right there. But
And Maddie and I are the
We never
cool.
talk.
Maybe.
Maddie and I are the cool Northwest people.
And you know that we're the cool ones
Literally.
because Marcelo
We have
was
cool
telling us
lights?
before we went. No, Marcelo was telling us before we went live that they didn't have iCarly in Argentina.
Oh, that's right.
And so that
Oh,
automatically
yeah, that's the
cancels him
difference
out of
between
being the
cool
cool
people.
one.
I don't know if that's true.
No, I completely agree. That is the denomination for sure. So I know Ted has a handful of things prepared to show visually, but I figured we'd probably want to talk a little bit about. I don't want to spend too long on like the history of making the comic ourselves because I want this to be more about like what we do as like a process to make this happen, but I definitely think it's kind of necessary to the story, I guess, to share like when people ask how do you make a webcomic, what did we do kind of a thing. Like
Yeah, and maybe first is why. Why do we
Yeah.
make a webcomic? Where do we
Very
make a
good question.
webcomic?
yeah. Who do we make a
Why? Like
Where?
so 2015, like the DC animated universe, you know, the interlocking cartoons from Batman the Animated Series to Batman Beyond to Justice League, that was pretty much all said and done. Like there, for all that we knew, it was over.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this YouTube channel, Watchtower Database, that's like entirely focused on this universe. But we wanted to tell our own stories. And it kind of like spun out of James. You started doing these character designs that were like the Justice League of 2019, which is in the DCAU. It's in our past now in the present day. But in the DCAU, 2019 was when we deduced that Bruce Wayne retires as Batman in the Batman Beyond opening scene, right? When he pulls the gun on the thug and says never again. So you designed like other Justice League characters like the Flash and Aquaman and Green Lantern.
Yeah, it was
And,
just kind of a
yeah.
fun like experiment or whatever. Like I wasn't planning on having it be anything in particular. It was just like we know what a lot of them look like in Batman Beyond. We know what a lot of them look like in present day in Justice League, and what might they look like, a sort of a halfway point. And then
Yeah.
I think you messaged me or replied to that or something on the message boards that I had posted that on. We had known each other on message boards for years before this, but this was like the first time that we kind of like, let's do like a collaborative actual project together. Like that would be a lot of fun if we made, some sort of comic or web series or something based on those designs. And I knew that doing an animation was going to be way too heavy of a project. Like I could not attempt that. I can still barely attempt that right now. But we redid the first number 0 issue idea for that like 20 different times because we wanted to make sure that we came out strong, like that we had a good idea to start with.
Are you telling me we're not getting a Legacies, the animated series?
Not yet, even though 1,000 people asked for it all the time.
If you want to contact Bruce Timm, his personal cell phone number is 555.
Yeah,
it's all 5s. So James is right though. We did like redo the first issue like 3 or 4 times. Like we had totally different stories before the one we actually landed on. And I think I'm really happy with the one we landed on, the one with that reintroduced Cronus from like the Justice League Unlimited Once and Future thing.
Introducing a story that's both set in the DC animated universe but was our own like original jumping in point was really tough to figure out because it was like you have to stay true to the tone of the DCAU as best you can and not just make it a grab bag. Like Legacies is sort of us taking all our DCAU action figures and mashing them together because we just love these characters and stories so much, but we're trying to stay as like limited as possible or as unlimited. Trying to stay as like, what am I trying to say? Like yeah, Manhattan. Trying to stay as like beneath the surface of all the awesomeness until we get to the point where that makes sense to like bring out all the big guns, and I think we're doing that in a couple issues from now, is finally revealing like the big bad for the whole story and all this kind of stuff. We've had this giant spaceship that comes out of a portal that has been appearing in several different issues and all this. I'm sure Ted will show these things on screen at some point too, but
yeah, I'll screen share in a second. On that note though, I do want to say like you said, we've been kind of navigating around like big moments of the DC animated universe, like the moment Batman retired, or I know something we're trying to like get to and then sort of like right around is the Return of the Joker flashback, where Tim Drake is captured by the Joker. And then there's other moments like the death of Ace and Epilogue. Like these are sort of bits of the DC animated universe that are set after the end of Justice League Unlimited, but before Batman Beyond. And that was the whole point, was to sort of navigate these landmarks. And
yeah, we had our like 5 different, like we have to do these things because they're like things we know actually happen on the timeline, and then we have to fill in the gaps in between, and how do we get to those points and connect our own stories to that and all that sort of stuff. I guess all of that to say that the basics of like starting out on this sort of thing is to have a very solid plan of where you're going. Like Ted and I have known what the end of the comic is for like 67 years now, and we've only made 11 issues, but that's not the point. It's coming. Every issue takes as long as it does because we want to like spend a lot of time making sure it's exactly perfect, but also this is like the thing that we don't make money doing because we can't make money doing that. We have all these other comics that we work on. We have the YouTube channel, Watchtower Database. I have a movie that I'm making. Everybody has their own individual channels and projects. Yeah. Everyone has their own stuff going on all the time. And Legacies always takes a back seat but whenever we get around to it, it's always like, okay, put every ounce of like perfection into this as we possibly can, because we want, it's only going to come out, it's only going to be 6 pages long. You want those 6 pages to be worth a 5-month wait or whatever it is. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely write them that way too, to be like, how can I compact everything I want to tell in the 6 pages, but also, make it still engaging.
Mark, sometimes that includes Daft Punk references.
Sometimes.
Mark was on a Easter egg video with us recently. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
He's really excited.
Woo! Mark was on an Easter egg video.
It was very
recently.
exciting. Yeah.
To talk about one of our recent 6-pagers, and it was like an hour-long recording or more that we did just talking about just those 6 pages, because every panel we try to fit in as much stuff as we can, Easter eggs or references to, oh, this shot looks like the explosion from the opening of Batman the Animated Series, or all that kind of stuff. Where
You can pack a lot in when you take a year to finish a comic. So, yeah.
Well, that too. But yeah, Ted, do you want to share some stuff?
Yeah, let me screen share. Here we go. So this is the website, which you can see at legacesdcau.com. Feel free to follow along from home if you'd like. We have a really nice professional website that James designed.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's you scroll down. We've got, so you were saying you don't do animation, but we have a promo
That's
intro video. We have little animations that we put on YouTube to announce every new issue.
Well, see, I made those. That's what James said. He didn't want to take the credit.
Right, yeah.
If you need any animation done.
Let me move the little zoom box here. So we have About, which has all of our pretty faces here on here. I didn't realize you updated my picture. This looks great.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Us, some bios, some links. We've got Maddie over here.
I am blonde there.
And here's Marcelo and Mark. So, and then a lot of people watching this might be familiar with Rick Sellis as well. He's got an awesome DCAU art style. We have a whole extras page, which has behind the scenes stuff, like more videos. These are the Easter egg. This is the Easter egg video we were just talking about with Mark.
Ooh, that's my art.
Yeah, that's your art. We have all these character models. So basically every time there's a new character who might have been like for instance, here's Peacemaker. He's very popular right now.
Right. Yeah. Who would have thought that now this would be like...
Do you think if we say Peacemaker just a bunch of times,
right,
this up in the algorithm, and
I think Peacemaker
from James Gunn's Suicide Squad, Peacemaker John Cena, Five Nights at Freddy's Minecraft Fortnite.
Right. But we
Baby
did that
Shark.
years ago. We did our Peacemaker issue, and it was a lot of fun to just bring characters like that into the DCAU world.
Yeah, we've had a weird mix of when you go back to the character designs.
Wait, hold on. My Zoom menu is
blocking things.
Yeah, it is. It's okay though. Here we go.
We're Ted is a big comic book guy, and so he knows all these other characters from DC lore that had never appeared in the DCAU that I had never heard of. But when he would show me them, I'd be like, "Oh, I have to draw this person. Let's bring them in." Like Cameron Chase that we have here. This is based on a sexy Bruce Timm drawing, because why not? And but the bringing in those characters like that is always really funny, because half the time a storyline that Ted really likes that he wants to bring in, or a character that he really likes that he wants to bring in, like Peacemaker, will then just suddenly be this huge thing going on, or there's been aspects of Doomsday Clock and Rebirth comics lately where they just but that was our idea for Legacies 4 years ago, we just haven't gotten to that issue yet. So,
Pariah here, we pulled in Pariah from Crisis on Infinite Earths,
and then CW pulled in Pariah after or right before we did, or something like that. So
serendipity.
Yeah, but it's still really fun to bring these characters. Pariah's design is almost unchanged from Crisis, because it develops into Bruce Timm style so easily.
I really appreciate that Shiv Joker.
Yeah, this was
I'm hoping that's one. I'm hoping that's one that bleeds back in, especially now that Static Shock has started back up as a comic. Give him Joker Shiv.
Yeah. Shiv from Static, and being part of the Joker's team, in his crossover episode in Static Shock, made sense to bring him on as an actual Joker here. But yeah, those are the character designs. Let's get back to, you can look at all the issues here. Click on a cover to read one. You got issues 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 10. 11's done, but we haven't put it out yet. It's basically done. My favorite one, I think, might be number 4. Personally, that's the end of our we've only got one arc that's really multiple issues, and it's this destroyed arc.
That's one of the things that people bring up a lot is like, oh man, I hate how, well, not hate, but it's annoying how you keep going back and forth between like this storyline and this storyline when they don't know all the storylines connect to each other. We just haven't gotten to the connection ones yet. So
it's true. It's true. Let me pull up one and show some pages. What's the best one you think I should show off here?
Well, Marcelo's Asylum is pretty good one to start with, or Pre-Birth maybe.
Let's do Pre-Birth. Marcelo's Pre-Birth. So when you're talking about hitting like landmarks earlier, like Pre-Birth is a huge example of that.
Yes.
Yes.
So
this is my favorite one. I'm so lucky that I got to do this one, and especially the release date that we managed to do with this one. It's the only one that was really important to release on the 29th of June of 2019. And we managed to stick to the deadline, and that's something to be proud of, really.
I think this is my favorite.
I like that cover. I really like that cover.
By Rick Sellis.
We've got Rick Sellis doing the art. We've got like the canonical day of release is the day that Bruce Wayne retired. I got to sneak in some Hush Beyond stuff at the end,
right?
Because I had that idea. Just the whole, it's so fun.
Yeah, this is and it leads right into the start of Batman Beyond at the end.
We've got the Batman Senzu.
I'll skip to that page.
Walkie-talkie there.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
So you can
this is a really good example of. This is a really good example of what the point of the comic is like, to bridge these two series together, JLU and Batman Beyond. And this one is a really good example of like, it literally leads right into the opening scene of Batman Beyond with Bruce quitting, but it also has all these elements throughout that are going to tie back into our story as we keep going.
This is
what were you saying, Maddie?
Oh, I was saying like, we really try to like pack as much stuff as we can into these. Y'all were saying that earlier, but like it's so much to like make it feel like it's an actual lived in world, because like, we do all those continuity videos and everything and like geek out about, wait, there's cell phones when there shouldn't be cell phones. What? But like, it serves to give ideas of like, hey, this one like item was here in like a video game that like 3 people will recognize it and appreciate.
Mark,
it's really special just getting to be a part of it.
I was gonna say that was actually, I think that's the first or only issue that Marcelo and I have actually done work together on, because I did some colors on that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, hi Marcelo, nice to meet you. We didn't actually get to meet before the stream started, so
I just moved it to issue number 0, by the way, because this one's a lot of fun. This is the first one James drew.
Yeah, this was back when I couldn't decide. So we have a video on the Watchtower database about Batman's costumes and how maybe 2 or 3 of them are the exact same costume canonically. And so when we were starting Legacies, I had this idea that I would combine those costumes into one costume, which is kind of seen here with this. Like, this Batman has like the TNBA ears, but the Justice League costume. And there's also down below on the next page, there's a Batman being punched by Robin. He's in the Justice League costume, same thing that I just did up there, even though in the flashback of that he's in the new Batman Adventures costume, but also in the comics he's in the Batman the Animated Series costume. I was kind of had this idea at the time that I was just going to be like, Batman always looked like this no matter what time period we're doing, but luckily it doesn't mess up enough to make it like ruin the entire comic. But that's one of the growing pains of making a webcomic, I guess, is like, you have to make these decisions here at the start. Like, that decision that I made there, I now kind of have, I'm not exactly sticking to it, but stuff like that we've done is like, there's going to be dozens of more issues of this comic, and I have to, pick a style or pick a character design for somebody so early on, and stick to it throughout. And the same thing happens when we have rotating artists. Is like, we're doing an issue right now where we have a John Stewart character that you might as well bring up from issue 9, I think.
I have
you have
character
some
design in here I can pull up too.
That Mark did this character design based on the Mosaic look from DC Comics from the 80s. Is that right?
That's right. From a Green Lantern Mosaic comic. And then Marcelo tweaked it. He gave him basically the original design looked like a big green like business
necktie.
tie.
Yeah.
And this
everyone kept commenting on the tie. So.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think the tie is still on the Legacies website. Hold on, let me pull that.
Probably. I have not taken that down.
Yeah,
yet.
here it is.
Okay.
So this is the tie version.
Ties are formal.
Yes,
that's right. This is his formal suit.
But this is an example.
Going to work.
Yeah,
going
You're
to work.
supposed to wear a tie to work.
I'll pull up the issue too, where he appears for a second.
Yeah, and so this is the thing: is like when he appears in the issue, he has technically that necktie look, but it cuts off below the frame like just enough to where Marcelo's new design doesn't technically contradict what you've already seen. So that kind of thing is another like we set this in stone sort of. We have to keep going with it. Yeah, so it disappears below his hand there enough to where the new design will work just fine.
And people change clothes.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Exactly. And the Green Lantern, Green Lanterns change uniforms all the time, as we saw in Justice
I've had
League
this shirt on for 6 weeks, but I've heard they change clothes.
Spider-Man has some number of suits.
Spider Conway changed clothes at least twice in Batman the Animated Series.
I'd like to ask,
hey, let's just start talking about Spider Conway. That's where this panel needs to go.
Peacemaker, Spider Conway.
I'd like to ask Marcelo. I want to ask Marcelo about Nightwing's hair in Asylum. Because you were drawing this issue right before Batman and Harley Quinn came out, right?
Not even that. We were drawing it before it was even announced, and we had to change it almost by surprise because we got the first screenshot of the movie. And it was just one of Batman and Nightwing and Harley Quinn in the background, and we were like, "Well, is this canon?"
People are still asking this question.
So did his hair get wet in the Batmobile, or is it like slicked like that now, or what?
Yes, it's the one in the Batmobile, and the pages were all already fully drawn, and I'm not sure if they were even fully colored as well. And we were like, no, I'm sorry, it has to fit with whatever it's coming up now, and we had to change the hair. And that's one thing that I had a question for you, Ted. How much are you trying to fit into the new content, the new resurgence we've had of DCAU material for Legacies? Because like Fatal 5, Batman and Harley Quinn, and Justice League Infinity, Adventures Continue, these were a lot of things that we didn't know. Well, you didn't know when you were making the scripts. Like, for instance, we have there's a whole video in Watchtower Database about how Jason Todd is not canon to the DCAU, and now we're like, well, I guess
just kidding.
Yeah. I just pulled.
I still stand by it.
Sarge Steele was in Batman and Harley Quinn, and we brought him into our. We brought Argus in for issue number 9 here for like a second. So that's like one aspect of like, bringing them in. We had some ideas for Swamp Thing that have been sort of adjusted because of the Batman Harley Quinn movie. And then also, honestly, the Arkham Asylum, we blew it up in the Destroyed arc. And then like our timeline research has shown that it's still around at a certain time because we were going to transition to the new Arkham that was talked about in the Return of the Joker flashbacks. And so now we've like created a new story just to try to explain why Arkham is destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed. So that was our fault. We kind of did that to ourselves.
And then Eric went ahead and gave us new Arkham anyway. In Fatal 5.
That's right, in Fatal 5, so we I don't think we brought Jessica Cruz in yet for any issues. I think I almost wrote her into the next one that James is writing, but she might have got cut. That's just one example. Like I kind of
where everybody's at the Fortress of Solitude. Is that what you're talking about?
We've got a moment where people are in the fortress.
The only thing
you're drawing the one before. You're drawing the milestone one.
The only thing that they've told me they specifically weren't trying to work in was the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adventures. Because there was a very specific Scarecrow story that they wanted to tell.
Yes.
This is Yeah, let me pull that up.
Let's just say Legacies is the what if of the DCAU, and this is just one version of the universe, which actually is basically what it is, because I'm not going to give it away, but once we get to the like final finale of the comic, there is some stuff going on there that will kind of feed into that idea. But,
KO and Ben 10 are going to show up, and the Ghostbusters and the Ninja Turtles.
And then Raven's going to almost go through the Teen Titans portal, but not really.
What other buzzwords can we say for the algorithm?
I do want to really quick while we're just sitting here before we get too much deeper into this. There is a charity going on during this that we should probably talk about.
Yes.
If you're watching this, there's a link in the description to donate to Project Hope. They've already raised. Let me refresh the page. About $3,100 of the $5,000 goal. This is to raise money to help fight COVID-19. There are different tiers to donate for, different medical supplies or to help out frontline workers, all that sort of stuff. So please go to that link in the description and even donate like $10, $20, something like that, to help them get to the goal. And now I've said the thing, and now we can keep going.
Owen just dropped the link in the chat. So
perfect.
If y'all are looking for that, there it is.
So I'll say for the Scarecrow issue, the panel that I have showcased right now, which kind of shows the Scarecrow's greatest hits with Batman through the animated series, I did have a line referencing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover in the original script, and James asked me to take it out. So we didn't have to deal with that.
It is kind of funny the way that over time, like since we started the comic, I think Ted and I both, but probably more me, have become more and more lenient to okay, for an example, Ted really wanted to include a crossover of, I won't say what it is, but a different DC animated series in the end of the comic. And I started designing character designs to Bruce Timmify those characters instead of keeping them their original designs, because I was like, hey, if they're going to cross over, they should probably all be the same art style. Whereas now I'm like, everybody's just doing all these multiverse crossovers all the time. Who cares? They're just going to look like what they normally look like. But you can see some of those on my DeviantArt if you go prying around.
Absolutely.
Are you telling me that Space Jam's going to come to the DCAU?
What? No.
You heard it here. It already did.
Again? Yeah.
This was the first issue that Mark drew. And this is also the first issue I wrote that wasn't my idea. This was kind of mandated to me by James. He was like, I want to tell this story. And he was like, I also want it to be written in a poem.
Edgar Allan Poe kind of style, yeah.
And that was really challenging, but it was also really rewarding because I'm really proud of this issue. And we
I think these are Marcelo's thumbnails, right?
Yes.
Right, yeah, he was originally going to draw that.
This issue, and I ran out of time, and I kind of realized early on I wasn't going to meet the deadline. So I had like the thumbnails for it. Yeah, I had the thumbnails for it, and I told James, hey, I'm sorry, peace out, basically.
What I don't think we've ever mentioned before is that at the time, Marcelo wasn't sure what Hades looked like. So in the thumbnails, Hades is Hades from
Hercules.
with the blue flame hair. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
There was a part of me that really wanted to draw that. But I just didn't have the time.
Wow, hey, Scarecrow, buddy, how you doing?
It is really fun to see Scarecrow with Hades, though. It's a fun crossover here between the Wonder Woman world, Batman world. Yeah, this is a really fun one.
Yeah, and this is also a good reference to the Fire from Olympus Batman episode where Maxie Zeus thinks that Batman is Hades in his insane state, and so we have that shadow that's sort of, is it Batman? Oh nope, it's Hades.
I had no idea how I was going to do that shadow.
It looks, you did it convincingly.
Yeah, I was just like, how in the heck does this guy with big horns look like?
The horns kind of blend into the prison bars, so
okay.
Well, in the effort of time, I don't know how much time we have. I want to show some of these character designs and stuff that we've also done, because this will kind of show some fun plans for the future a little bit. And also there's just cool.
Before Justice League Infinity brought back Amazo at the source wall, we were going to do Amazo at the source wall.
And he's got his green outfit from the comics, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want us to write Legacies. They're just like, no, we'll do it for you. We'll do it for you. Stop.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
Here's some of the future designs that James did. This is Aquaman of 2019.
This was based on I want to say, Tommy Tejeda drawing of Aquaman at this age. And I don't think it was supposed to be DCAU, but it was, his art style is very similar. And so this is almost ripped directly from that. But I thought it was really great with the missing eye and the kind of like, he continues to get more and more Conan as he gets older and older. So
we ended up seeing a little bit of like an old Aquaman in the animated world in the the Justice League Beyond comic by Derek Friedhoffs and Dustin Nguyen. So that was cool.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, have you gone back to any of these and been like, well, now in hindsight that we've seen 2019 and we have Aquaman comics from 2019 and Aquaman movies, maybe I should like change it up a little bit, make it more modernized. Has there been any inclination to do
I
that?
went back and redid, I don't know, I'd have to see which one it is. I know there's a couple of character designs that I definitely have redone like 6 or 7 times up until they actually appear in the comic, but a lot of them have just remained the same. And then when I like, we'll get to the Flash here in a minute, I'm sure, but that one I was definitely like the Flash design that I did was
pull up on the website.
Something that that was one of the original ones that I did in 2012 that made Ted want to make the comic with me, and that stayed exactly the same since then. We finally got to put that in a couple issues ago, so those are the fun ones.
Didn't we end up seeing
yes, and then I can't remember what it was in, but there was
a Justice League Unlimited book, I think.
Oh yeah. Maybe. Yeah, some of these I think maybe subconsciously I had already seen in something else, because either Justice League Beyond or Justice League Unlimited comics had almost this exact Flash years before. Another thing though with these designs, and I'll never know for sure if this is the case, and I'm not going to actually point any fingers or blame anybody, but if my Superman design, which is just basically a melding of his modern day design and his Beyond design, being, he's got the cape still, but it's mostly the Beyond look. That identical look is in a Justice League Beyond comic that came out a few months after I first posted this online. And I have no idea if it's just completely parallel thinking, because this is a pretty obvious, transition between the costumes, or if someone saw this and said, hey, that looks pretty cool, I'm going to use it. But you never know. We do know of a couple instances in real life where that exact thing has actually happened, and I'm not going to name names, but yeah, anyway.
Real quick, I'm going to show off a couple panels from Marcelo's latest issue that you're working on. It's called Mosaic, and this does have that Flash design that we just showed off,
yes,
as well as 90s costume Kyle Rayner.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one.
I was using that character design for Flash, which has become kind of a bit of a trouble, because now I understand the need for model sheets where you can see the character from every
all
angle.
angles. Yeah.
Because how the hell does that lightning wrap around
him?
Yeah.
I'll never reveal the secret.
I don't think I'm ever going to make any panel where we show the Flash's back. It's just going to be like this. I'm going to find a way.
Yeah, that's why you turned him to point. Yeah.
I'm going to break it.
That's not Killer Moth, is it?
No, this is
it's very close.
It's Killer Moth's evolution, Jiraxis. Yeah, but he used to be Killer Moth. Now he's spliced himself into a moth.
Which we do have an issue with Cadmus Labs that will show this same character.
Yeah. This is a new version of the Cadre with Overmaster, who's like a 1980s Justice League villain. I've got a couple of thumbnails from this issue too that Marcelo made. So this is kind of how the art starts with these, these sorts of pages. You can see Mosaic, John Stewart there in the bottom left. I'll do one more page. Yeah, this is kind of the fight scene. You can see the green energy, actually the green. That's fun.
Honestly, like, when okay, so I can pinpoint exactly how we brought Mark on. I found him on DeviantArt and said, "Hey, we want to do some stuff." I cannot remember how Marcelo got involved. Can you Can you remind me? Okay.
Yes, I remember very well. I think I found your website of Legacies in the World's Finest Online, which I always visit to this day.
Yes.
And I saw that you were doing a comic, and it reminded me of a previous one similar to Legacies. It was Batman Adventure, something like that. It was World's Finest Online.
Was
I
it,
thought, hey,
The
was
Dark
it Dark
Knight
Knight
Adventures.
Adventures?
Yep.
I just pulled it up.
Yes. And I thought, hey, that's a neat idea. Maybe I could somehow get in. And
I knew we'd be talking about this.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I just sent James or whatever the mail was, like, hey, I kind of draw DCAU stuff. Here's like some page samples. And I think we kind of really had the same ideas, because the page samples I sent were Bruce in a bit of a mashup of the Batman Beyond costume, but with a cape, and Rachel Gould, because of course I still want to do the Apocalypse of '09, and like Dark Knight Returns, Batman as well. And so we kind of meshed up in that. And the first thing I did, I think I got pretty early on the comic books, because I did the cover for the aftermath of the Battle of Metropolis.
Yes,
And
the one with the Daily Planet all falling apart.
I'll
Yeah.
pull that up real quick.
And for that issue, I did most of the backgrounds of the destroyed city, because
Yes.
as I recall, James hates doing backgrounds.
Backgrounds and crowd.
Yeah, backgrounds and crowds.
Yeah.
So I started with that one.
Any of us
really
like
how it came out.
crowds?
I love to write a crowd scene.
Yeah, you don't count
I
it.
can tell, Ted. I can tell.
The good thing about crowds is that's how you canonize Jimmy Neutron to the DCAU.
It sure is.
Man, can I pull up that page really fast? It's in number 19.
Yes.
Let's
What I was gonna say about bringing Marcelo in was that when I sit down to do the actual comic, I will take my time with every single line that I'm drawing. But when I do like the thumbnails, the really rough stuff, just to show Ted, like, hey, here's my idea for what's coming up, I barely spend any time on it all. I'm just through the whole thing, just blasting through it, and it looks horrible. It doesn't look anything like. It just shows like the character placements, where they're going to be on the page, and that kind of stuff. Whenever you send over your thumbnails, I'm always like, damn it, this guy draws better than me. Like,
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh.
I just realized something about this image, and now I'm sad. Does this take place on New Year's Eve?
You're talking about the Bruce Wayne picture I just pulled up?
Yes.
This is just one of Marcelo's recent pages. I don't think we have a date. that
No,
exists.
I don't think
we
it's
do.
on New Year's Eve, but this is the.
But it is. It is what I'm thinking it is.
It is what you think it is. Yes.
Wait, this is
This is from the very next issue. Yes.
Change
Marcelo
it to make
drew.
it New Year's Eve. It'll hit harder.
Here's some spoilers. Yeah. You can maybe tell whose funeral this is from the attendees here, potentially. But yeah, it's a funeral issue. We put Nightwing in an eye patch for what, like Hush Beyond? Wasn't that a Hush Beyond reference?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nightwing's that is Dick Grayson there in the foreground.
Finally, Ted, you found a way to make a 6-pager where 5 out of the 6 pages are crowd shots.
Yes, I did.
Finally, Ted, you put some crowds in the comic.
Yeah, this isn't a huge crowd, but there's still, like, even here on this page, like Barbara and her husband Sam Young from Batman Beyond. You've got Bullock and Montoya.
We gotta add Gloria in now.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a good point. Oh no, Marcelo, you're gonna have to drop in another character.
There's one more character. It's fine.
Gloria Montoya's girlfriend from The Adventures Continue. All right, I'll show off a couple more pictures. Let's see.
I was gonna say what you're seeing here is the like flats level of the coloring. Yeah,
this was a script. This is
This is where things start.
This was issue number 2, which was Destroyed Part 1. So this is how I write those. Just a quick. I mean, it's
for anybody watching that is seeing all of this stuff. You know, you're seeing like 5 of us collaborate on this thing, and you're seeing all these, real professional looking stuff. I would say to not be intimidated by that kind of thing, because it
does not need to be on this level.
Well, that, but also just like, we started out we don't know what we're doing 100%. We still don't. Like, we're just kind of trying our best, and then whatever happens, happens.
What I'm doing.
Yeah. So, like, if you're ever like, oh, I'd love to start a webcomic, every time that someone asks me this online, I always just say, okay, do it. Like, start now. Just draw some stuff, just write some stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it turns out really sucky in your opinion, then that's the first one you did. Now you move on from there and do another one. Like, our Legacies, I'm sure, was the inspiration to get our guy Adam Mullen, who writes our music, to start writing his own webcomics, which Marcelo has worked on and Ted has worked on. And I think Mark is maybe part of an upcoming something. I think
I will be. Yes.
Yes.
I'm working on a whole issue.
Let's pull up those covers. So this is the one Mark is working on next. This cover is by Antoine Hunt. You can find on DeviantArt. Yeah, milestone.
Yeah, this one I'm really excited for. It may have been slightly more topical if it came out a year ago, but it's always topical, so it's gonna be good still, regardless.
Really
yeah,
cool.
I'm glad I get to do this one. I like these characters a lot.
I'll go through some of the other covers here. This is the one for the funeral one we were just looking at. This is also by Antoine Hunt. Chronicles. This is based off the cover of Doomsday Clock #3. Actually, where Batman's reading Rorschach's journal. So this is pretty much the same structure.
So we just got a question in the chat. Is there going to be any how-to in this how-to panel? Well, we could sit here and have me draw something for you the whole time, but we have a limited time, so we're just kind of trying to show you a mishmash of our process along the way, and then just kind of how we got started on this and things like that, just to kind of give you inspiration.
Like 2 minutes.
Yes,
I
do think
explain a finished page though.
I do think that the biggest thing for a how-to is, like you were just saying, is to literally just do it, because like a lot of this stuff is just stuff that we picked up over time while doing it. Like, I don't personally put as much into the comic as I do onto the YouTube side of our stuff, so I can't speak as much for the comic stuff. But like, my first videos for our YouTube channel were literally just bullet points in a Word document of like, these are the ideas I have, the things that I know I need to talk about. Let me turn the camera on. And then it would get edited down from there. And like, you can do similarly in different forms of media. You write down what you want to, what you want to get across, what you want to draw, and then you stick to that plan. You turn the camera on, you do it.
And there's no real wrong way to do.
Yes.
There's no wrong way to do the process. Like, if you're the kind of person that you need to almost completely draw your story before you feel like you're ready to actually draw your story, do that. If you're the kind of person that needs to jot down a bunch of scrambled notes and then piece them together later, and that works for you, do that. But there's no one correct process to get to the finished product other than what you're comfortable with, and the way to find that out is to just experiment.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And no like professionally like set way to do it either. There's no like, this is the exact format of a script, like unlike filmmaking where there is, in comics there's not. It's just you gotta break it down by panels. You can
go back to Stan Lee being like, hey, I drew the thumbnails, figure out the words later, I don't care.
Yeah, that's the Marvel approach, right?
Yeah. And we like to put stuff like this on the website a lot too, is like, do we try to show off as much as we can? There's a whole Easter eggs document for issue number 0, and then we've been doing the Easter eggs videos lately for new releases, where we try to reveal as much as we can about like the process of making it and what goes into every step of this. Like, you can see from Ted drew that first thumbnail actually of here's what I'm thinking the page should look like. Okay, it's going to be Phantom Stranger. Put a bunch of shit inside of him, and then from there,
This is how I script comics. Yeah, this is how
I love it. Just says Mr. T in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does.
But then it changes along the way. Like I'm saying, that's my like rough, barely looks like anything thumbnails, just to show like this is where the characters are going to go, that kind of thing. But this is a page that by the end of it, I was like so proud of. I had this page and a page for number 0, which was another like Phantom Stranger with a bunch of stuff around him. Are two of my favorite pages that we've done, and I had them both as posters on my wall at my job a few years ago, which it was not okay to do, but I did it anyway. Because I mean, cool this is what I have the most fun doing, is just like working in this world that I have no right to be working in. We just decided we were gonna do this,
and it was because of people like World's Finest with the Dark Knight Adventures, and then like Yale Stewart's JL8 webcomic that kind of, I don't want to say gave us permission to do it, but I met Yale Stewart at a Comic-Con one time and asked him, how did you get away with doing JL8? I think this was before we did Legacies, and he was just like, I just did it. I just did, I didn't ask anybody, I just did it. So and it's worked out. Nobody's asked us to stop, and we're
now that we've done this panel, they will.
Maybe, but we're connected at least now with the people behind the shows and stuff. And it's like at this point, like if it would have been, if we're not making money off of this, that's another major part of it, but we would have been told to stop by now.
Yeah, if you're looking to do web comics in a way that you can make money off of, don't use somebody else's IP.
Yeah,
that's a 101 tip right there from Maddie
this is
Washburn.
Specifically how to web comics for zero profit.
Right. Yeah. Ted, did you have anything else you wanted to show before we switch back to our faces? I feel like our faces have been off the thing for quite a while.
That's fair. Let me just show off a couple of let me do the covers. No, actually I'll do the character designs I want to show off first, and then I'll show the covers. But I'll just kind of cycle through this fairly quickly.
There's one character that I hope gets showcased.
All right, we'll see if that's true.
I think you know who I'm talking about.
Maybe I think so too. Cover. Yeah, they're on the cover. Okay, yeah, they'll be there. So this is Bloodwind. How do you say?
Bloodwind.
How do you say?
I'm sure it's Bloodwind.
Wind. I never say anything correctly.
No.
and we're bringing him in as a cameo just because he was mentioned by name in the Batman Harley Quinn movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of saying things wrong, go watch our new video that came out today. This is the latest Justice League Infinity Easter egg breakdown on the Watchtower Database channel, where you can hear me say anathema. That's a word.
I'm still. You had me thinking that I was saying it wrong for a second.
I'm just gonna start gaslighting you every video with saying like every other word wrong.
It's okay. This is Jean with the Young Justice uniform. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
More or less?
It was kind of more based on the Doom look, I think, or there was something similar to that. Yeah. But that was just kind of one of those in between 2019 era looks.
How about this guy?
This was a look for a Birds of Prey story that we're gonna do eventually, based on like one of his original costumes. Yeah.
My icon.
That's something.
That is news to me, and I want to draw this issue.
That'll be a fun one.
That is something.
Here's OMAC, like Jack Kirby's OMAC.
Which was another. This was one of the. Yeah, this was one that Ted had me redo a few times. There's an action figure of OMAC in the JLU line that is almost like just completely blue. They have like a Cyclops eye and the mohawk, and it was from. It was like based on the
Infinite Crisis.
Yes. And then there's like original OMAC who also appeared in some Earth 12 issues and was in I think a JLU issue too. That's a lot is the Buddy Blank or whatever his name is. I can't remember.
This is that version, but
so this was the design combination sort of. I'm not totally sold on using this look, but when we get there, we'll get there. So.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's not too far off.
Yeah.
Here's Overmaster. That was this a Mark or a Marcelo design?
Mark.
This is Marcelo.
Does he have the dead Kennedy's logo on his head?
I don't think on purpose.
Nazi punks. Come
on. So Overmaster, that's cool. It's coming up soon. Peacemaker, we've already looked at him earlier. Oh, here we go. Montoya.
Yeah, here's a tease.
Yeah.
We'll have to incorporate Gloria into that issue now, but that, I guess Marcelo brought up earlier, like how much are you bringing in from the new stuff? Because a lot of the time we're, like Ted said at the start, when we started on Legacies, none of this other new stuff existed. We were just using what we had from 1992 to 2006, basically. And now that we have like Batman and Harley Quinn, Batman: The Adventures Continue, all that kind of stuff going on, we try to incorporate that stuff in a way where even if for some reason any of these new things get deduced by us on the channel to not be canon or slightly canon, Earth 12 kind of stuff, Adventures Continue, whatever, we want to still use some of those ideas, like Jason Todd Red Hood. We might incorporate him into something, but we're still going to have like the original Red Hood from Batman Adventures Volume 2 is going to be part of this as well, and that kind of thing. So we want to have that stuff in there as a like some version of this comic that might not be canon, probably happened in some way or another, but not
essentially essentially trying not to contradict them while not letting their contradictions let them be outliers.
Doing fun things like Red X here.
Yes.
Bringing him into the fold.
This is another one that was redone like 6 times because it's supposed to be we're having this story post Return of the Joker where Tim Drake is still dealing with the effects of being a little small Joker boy. Leslie Tompkins is trying to nurse him back to health and help him out, and so that's what this kind of gas mask thing on his face is like an antidote to the Joker toxin that he has to constantly breathe, or else he will revert back into Joker form. And so we decided he goes out on his own to. Well, screw Batman. If he's not going to let me be Robin, I'm going to do my own thing. But then that doesn't end up lasting very long.
Did y'all not watch the Tim Sheridan panel earlier? He said that the identity of Red X wasn't supposed to be announced until we hit 50,000 in the donations. Are we at 50,000 in the donations?
Whoopsie daisy.
Well, if we get 50K, we can still get Glenn Murakami to tell us who the original Red X is.
Yes.
Hopefully. Here's Superboy, basically the same character design as Teenage Superman from the last Son of Krypton episode.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of
cool. But we have the official Superboy now.
Yeah,
right,
exactly, which we might use. So that's all the character designs that I wanted to show off. But let me do a couple of covers just to show what's in the future for Legacies. I showed you the Chronicles one based off. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit.
This one is by one of our Is he a patron or is he just a Discord member?
He's just a Discord member.
Hayden Beckett.
I thought he was a patron at one point. But yeah, Den has been a member of our Discord server for a while and got noticed really early on for just how wonderful his art and coloring is. And we asked him to do a cover for us.
And this is of course based off the Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller.
Yes.
I don't think I've met anyone who loves to draw as much as Den.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, what else? Oh, let me zoom back in. So this is from an upcoming issue featuring the Justice League of 2019.
Is this the cover for the one that I'm drawing next?
It sure is. And this is the flat colors. We haven't done the effects over them yet. So
this Justice League was featured.
Oh, it is Den's birthday as well.
Happy birthday, Dan.
This cover is drawn by Alan Gesek, Gesek. He's on Instagram. That's how we discovered him, because he posts a lot of DCAU art. He actually does like hand watercolored DCAU art, which is really cool.
Right, yeah.
But he drew this for us.
Yeah, that's the Justice League there is featured from our 2019 era Justice League, including Starfire and all that stuff.
Yeah, we've seen Milestone. This is a work in progress by Robert Carrasco, who is the brother of Eric Carrasco, who wrote Justice League versus Fatal 5. And he messaged me a couple days ago. It was like, he's almost 100% done with this cover, but I don't have that version. So this is his like rough thumbnails. But
Maddie's reaction is just what I'm always thinking.
It's so weird to me that like we're in such close proximity with the official thing.
Yeah.
And yet we're still right outside.
Knocking on the door. Yeah.
And here's a story arc called Shadow Play. This was by Rick Sellis.
This was by Rick Sellis like 3 years ago.
Oh, longer than that, actually. But this is fun to see the shadow puppets of the Justice League symbols there.
I just noticed the dude doing the S, and I didn't even realize anything else. And I was like, that's that cool S from high school.
Yeah, that weird S symbol. Here's part 2 of Shadow Play. Oh, let me zoom out again. This one's also by Alan Gesick. It's showing the moment from the JLU episode where it was alive, where Killer Frost betrays the other villains and freezes them in a glacier.
Yeah, our opening. No, that's. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's just a callback.
But I'm trying to remember his actual name now. Oh my god.
Who you trying to remember?
The Bug Boy.
Oh,
Bug Boy.
That's Helgramite.
Helgramite.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Oh yeah, he caught the creeper.
He sure did.
Yeah, he did. This cover is also supposed to reflect the meme of the girl with the fire. Like she's looking at the house that's burning on fire and looking back at the screen. All right, and I think I got one more to show off. Let me zoom back in. This one is by Andrew Kenneth.
It's my boy. It's my boy.
So we brought in Mr. Wing from The Adventures Continue.
That's an example of bringing in the good stuff, leaving out the bad stuff.
Andrew Kenneth is also on Instagram. He's got a great page where he has his Batman D-list villain series where he draws all these like obscure Batman characters in the Bruce Timm style. Some of them appeared in the comics and
DC Instagram models series.
He's a great Instagram page to follow for sure, Andrew Kenneth. That's all the art I was going to show here. I will show our faces again before we leave.
Ah, there we are.
We're back.
It's us again.
Yeah. Well, I guess I just wanted to sort of like bring that all together to just kind of reiterate, like, we're just a bunch of nobodies that don't really know what we're doing, but we jumped into this with a really solid idea and just kind of over time, you know, meeting other artists, bringing in other writers, all this stuff. It has been a several year project. So I guess my biggest like advice for if you're wanting to get into making your own webcomics is to definitely start off with like a very like, it doesn't have to be like us where we have, you know, 100 different issues planned out for the last decade or whatever, but well, the ideas for them, Ted. I'm not saying written, although he's got this face like, what are you talking about? But have like 37. Have at least, you know, your first couple issues figured out, like, this is exactly what I want to do. How am I going to make it happen? And just start trying to do it, because like I said, we redid the first issue a bunch of different times before finally finding like that exact perfect thing that we really loved. So.
And by redo, we didn't draw it all from start to finish. We did bits of it and realized this isn't working. Let's redo the story. It was usually the writing that was redone, and
all the different, like, you know, you're seeing the different process steps of the covers and the colors inside the issue and the character designs and all that stuff. On some level, you might not need to do that, because like creating those character designs ahead of time was my way of like OCD controlling, like, this is what it's going to look like, this is what it's going to be. And that's helped me, and I think Marcelo and Mark, a lot with like, this is the direction we're going with this. But on the other hand, we have stuff like a lot of the new DCAU comics coming out, or some of the old ones even, we'll contact the artist and be like, oh man, do you have the model sheet for this character? And they'll be like, I never created a model sheet for that character. What are you talking about? I just drew them into the comic.
Yeah.
So there's not like a right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever makes you feel the most organized and like ready to attack the comic and go for it is the best way to do it for you, I would say. Yeah.
And I will say, to add onto that, don't feel like you've got to do it all yourself. Like obviously we are a team on this book specifically, a team of 5, even more people if you include all the different artists and everything.
And guest
but
writers.
like none of us started this as like a, hey, I'm gonna go solo. Like, someone needed to be able to write. Okay, I can write. Hey, do I know someone who can draw? They can draw, you know. Talk to people that, like, you know, either you know, in the real world or online, and be like, hey, like, I have an idea. Is this something you'd want to be a part of? I'd like what you do in your writing or in your drawing, etc., and mesh it together. Because like you can have story ideas and not know how to execute them like visually, and someone else could very easily give that to you if you just open up and ask.
And it can lead to other opportunities too. Like Marcelo and Mark, for instance, you're both now doing issues of the Lost Dominion comic book, which I've been editing with Adam Mullen, who's the composer for the Watchtower database videos. But this was a sci-fi Western story that he wanted to tell. And because of your work on Legacies, I believe, is how he was attuned to you, you know, and then like brought you onto that project. That I've been working on.
I've already drawn more pages for Lost Dominion by far than what I've done for Legacy.
Those are 40-page comics.
Yeah, those are big boys.
They're very long.
And that's also an important thing to me. If you want to start doing something, for me, in the side of just drawing comic books, but I imagine it applies to writing as well. Just start doing stuff. Don't get hung up on waiting for like the perfect issue. It has to be just right, because you're going to be learning stuff along the way. Like I look back at some of the first issues I drew of Legacies. I look at mistakes and I see, oh, I could have done that better now. Like for instance, one of the first covers I did, I literally scanned 2 drawings I did, and the page was like dirty, and I just meshed it up in Photoshop, and it looks fine, mostly because James is great at doing colors. But now you grow up and you are like, oh yeah, maybe you should invest in better technology, or maybe you learn to draw with different programs or whatever, and you learn to do much more stuff. Right now, the reason that we are delaying a bit the upcoming issue is because I'm trying to learn James's effects, whatever, for the finalized pages, because that's useful stuff to know, really. And you just have to do stuff. If I hadn't started drawing Legacies, even if I probably felt unprepared at the time to be doing something like this, I wouldn't be drawing Lost Dominion now, or whatever other jobs I'm working on right now. So just start doing stuff, and trust that you'll be learning along the way to do it better. But it's important to just do stuff first.
And that's something that in a lot of our interviews that we've had with like creatives from within the industry, that's a similar thing to what they say. Their experience is like working on the real deal Batman and Superman and all that stuff. I remember specifically, what was it? Dan Reba was talking about how like they wrote a Dr. Fate episode and they didn't know how to do the effects for Dr. Fate, and it was all just trial and error the whole way through. And like even even like Bruce Timm himself has said in multiple interviews that like he doesn't like going back to the old stuff because all he's able to see is the flaws, whereas like we all see like, oh, this is, you know, beautiful art. Like you're always your biggest critic, and so just don't let yourself get in your own way of just making something that's going to make you happy, that you think might resonate with other people.
Legacies also taught me word balloon lettering, so I started doing that with issue number 3. James did 0, 1, and 2. Then I jumped in, and the work, when I look back at issue 3, I'm just like, oh, I could have done this a little better, could have done this. And now I do it a lot faster. I've just gotten really good at it, I think, at least.
That's doing this at all for speed reasons. Like it's been helpful for me learning. Just I always say like, oh, I've been drawing in Bruce Timm style since I could pick up a pencil, kind of it, like everybody whenever I have to do that. But I'm still not like amazing at it. Like I'd say I'm probably in the like upper tier of Bruce Timm style fan artists is where I put myself in that. Like I'm somewhere in the kind of top 50 or something. But I still, like, every single issue that I draw for Legacies, I'm like, oh, that's how you do a hand going like this. I've never had to do that before. That's how you do throwing a battering. I've never had to draw that, that stuff like that. And then I now know that for like I can still probably draw you a parademon without looking because of how many parademons I had to draw in issue 3 or something like that. Where it was
I
just
can
like
probably color one without looking.
Yeah.
And now you all know how to do a crowd scene.
Yeah, oh sure, yeah. Yeah, you draw a circle and a bunch of lines. And a circle and a bunch of lines. You just make a bunch of blobs. No, but just the like I have been drawing for a very long time and mimicking that style, but it's not something that I had ever like sat down and like studied and made into like a thing that I do constantly. And so doing this comic has allowed us to I think I probably speak for Mark and Marcelo also to like hone our craft on that specific art style. And I know Marcelo, going on to do the Lost Dominion pages, the stuff that I've seen from that has been definitely like, I see this is Bruce Timm's style, but I'm not going to say anything. But it's like, I can tell that you've improved through Legacies and Lost Dominion. So, these thumbnails and stuff that you're pumping out for the previews that Ted showed off for the next issue, or for 2 issues from now, or whatever it is.
I got up to show it off. I have it here.
Oh yeah, there's Lost Dominion. Yeah, see, Lost Dominion gets to be a real comic because it's an original idea. But anyway, but yeah, I can see the improvement. We do have a winner for the giveaway, which is let me scroll back. It's a $30 Comixology gift card, very topical for Lost Dominion, what we're talking about right now. The winner of that is Wish Mage here in the chat. So congratulations. What do we have to do to? They'll notify you.
I believe if I remember correctly from earlier panels, it was to either get in touch with Owen or Drake, or I think there was an email, but I don't see the email in our chat for them to
we know what's going on.
You won, Wish. You won.
If they don't reach out to you, then email them.
If they don't reach out to you, email them at the email address is @homecomicon@gmail.com.
Woohoo! They say, "Oh, neat, thank you." But I know that there's one final panel in today's stuff. It's going to be about half an hour from now, which is the closing out panel. And I believe last year that was a bunch of like, hey, what did we get right? What do you think we could do better next year? Kind of stuff for At Home Comic Con. I will say, don't tell them that the graphics sucked because I made all of the graphics. So don't say that. But I didn't make the logo. The logo was pre-made from last year. But that's the best part of this whole thing, I think, has been the blue background. If I'm just being honest.
Oh, we are talking about webcomics. Don't forget to mention the one that I will definitely finish soon.
There you go. Mark's gonna finish a webcomic soon. Look for that at marksgonnafinish-a-webcomicsoon.com.
That is the URL. Yeah.
but for real, you've got an Instagram page.
Plug your stuff, Mark.
Yeah, look for Eon Press Presents on Instagram. That's a comic book that I say is I call it a comic universe eons in the making, because going back to what we were talking about where you just do it, that is something that's held me up for a while.
Yeah.
Since the 90s.
You wear Nikes.
But you're doing it.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, because that can hold you back. You were like, no, I gotta do it this way. No, I gotta do it this way. Just get it out there. And that's what I've started doing lately, which is why I have the Instagram page and the art. Eon Press Presents is my own original comic book universe that I'm going to be writing as a type of anthology story arcs, which will be available for everyone to read on eonpresspresents.com, which is a website that's up, but there's not anything there to read yet, but it'll be the evolution of a comic universe, as if the world is being introduced to the concept of superpowered beings for the very first time. So Look for that.
And you can redirect to that URL from marksgonnamakeawebcomicsoon.com.
I should buy that.
I want to plug my newsletter. I have a newsletter. I do filmmaking, comic writing, all sorts of stuff. And you can find that at tedkendrick.com. It's a Substack newsletter. So if you could do tedkendrick.substack.com, but it's also just on tedkendrick.com. I've got a sci-fi comedy short film that I just produced last weekend. And I've got a Bigfoot movie that I'm going to be releasing soon. And I've been writing a lot of other stuff too. So it's all there.
Marcelo, where are you? Where do we do? Instagram.
Instagram, it's milikai.art. If you like to see Batman, well, there's a lot of Batman in there.
Yes, there is.
I'm already doing I'm already going on the 3rd issue of Lost Dominion. As we said, I'm working with Adam and doing the main series, and Mark is doing the anthology series. And I am also working on Batman the Animated Series animation with Bat Vector. I'm doing like background and storyboard stuff.
Oh, I didn't know you were part of that. That's cool. I knew it's happening, but I didn't know you were in that. Awesome.
We already released a trailer. Please look it up, and it's looking pretty good so far. We are hopefully going to have more stuff along the way this year. And finally, of course, I have 2 upcoming issues of Legacies that I think we can manage to release this year, as long as
at least one of them.
At least one of them. Yes, that's what I was going to say.
One of them is almost ready.
Yeah,
that's just right there. And if I really push it, I can do Mosaic as well with John Stewart. So yeah, we're looking forward to that as well. That's it.
And Maddie's on the Watchtower database.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have creative projects I'm working on, but like it's one of those things where the ADHD brain gets the best of you, and you kind of like don't put as much into them as you should be. But I've got music coming from my band, My Brother the Ocean. You can look us up on Google. You'll find all the places. And other than that, definitely the Watchtower database is me and James and Ted. We're all working on stuff. James and I just shot a mini movie that we wrote the first script for, like right when COVID started.
We are getting together in about 2 weeks to do a huge, it's our sort of story finale that we've been building to.
Gonna be another mini movie.
Yeah.
And the first script for that was written even earlier, 2018.
We've been saying for a while we have this big 3-part story finale coming up because COVID has kept us from getting together in person to film for that. But yeah, Maddie and I just filmed the first of those 3 a couple weeks ago, which I have a lot of editing to do, but it's gonna be really cool. The next one will be filmed very soon, and then we have our finale that we're filming in a couple of weeks. All of that is going to take a lot of editing time for any Watchtower database fans watching, so don't expect that to come out like immediately. But definitely
we are sneaking in a bunch of covert prequels, so make sure you're subscribed and tuned in to every video on Watchtower database.
Yes, every once in a while a video will, like at the last second, become, this is connected to the story. I didn't know, kind of a deal. So yeah.
When does My Reality come out?
Oh,
after the mini movies.
James.
Yeah, I've been working on a movie, Vi Reality. You can find it on social media at Vi Reality Movie. It's VI Reality is how you spell it. And that's been something I've been I just put out an update video a couple weeks ago or last week, I guess, that is everything that you ever want to know about what's currently going on with the movie, just go watch that. It's on the Watchtower database channel. And I mean, we don't have a lot to say to wrap this up. I hope that anyone watching at least got a little bit of info on, if you were interested in starting your own webcomic, kind of how to approach it, or just some insight on what it takes to make it happen at all,
or inspiration.
Or maybe you're just a fan of what we do, and that you just got to see a bunch of cool teases for things that are coming up. So either way, I hope everyone had an enjoyable time here. Thank you at Home Comic Con for hosting us here, and for having a bunch of cool other panels all day yesterday and today that you should definitely go check out once you're done here and once it's all over.
It's been a blast getting to do this 2 years in a row now. This is the second At Home Comic Con, and it's already grown so much just from last year. There's industry talent that we're following up. So like,
this is my first really panel.
Very exciting.
On anything.
I want to invite people too, if they have any lingering questions about the webcomic process, hit us up on social media. You can find us pretty easily off the DCAU Watchtower page.
Yeah, you can also email info@legacesdcau.com to go right to us about the webcomics. We know that's what you want to talk about.
Do you want to ask James to draw a comic for you or anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm there too. I do this too.
Yes.
Digital
He's
Jedi
on
Master.
Mark is
Yeah,
making
I
a
was about to
YouTube
say, are you gonna
channel.com.
markdoesthings.com redirects to anything you might want to see from Mark.
I'm just gonna make a link tree. I might as well.
All right.
Bye,
Well,
everybody.
thank
Okay,
you. Thank you
that's
for
it.
watching, anybody that's still here. And I
Take
guess
care.
signing off now. Bye.
Yes.